Welcome to TIE 2020. My name is Bobby Duder from Warner High School, and I'm going to be talking to you about using 3D printing applications within a science classroom. So, here's where we're going to start at. This is the GE program. I was lucky enough to apply for this through the Polar Cloud and get a 3D printer for my classroom. One of the great aspects for this is GE does offer support. They allow you to create models. You can map how many models that you have, and then you can also connect to your 3D printer from this. There are a couple things that are really kind of nice. So one of them is make. So you can look at your printer, you can look at the jobs, you can design. It gives you a list of online tools for this. If you are an elementary classroom, because I first got into this program, you get something called Maker's Mark for free. However, because we have Chromebooks, we use Tinkercad, and Tinkercad is what I'm going to show you today. BlocksCAD is in here, Maker's Empire. These are all accessible things that are usable with the Polar Cloud. But I'm going to go to Tinkercad. Tinkercad is really, really easy. For Tinkercad, you just simply create a design, and it will have actually a little tutorial for you to walk through. Most of my students are able to create and make things in Tinkercad within minutes. My chemistry class this year was able to teach a 5th grade class how to create their own elements for this. The great part about Tinkercad is you're able to import and export materials from here. So on the side here, you can import and create, look at the dimensions, and go through this way. Once you're done with this, the nice part becomes you're exporting. You can export this 3D print to the Polar Cloud. The Polar Cloud is where we're able to use a lot of this material. Now, Tinkercad does have tutorials. It works well with Chromebooks. It is free and it's completely web-based. And then you can go from here on the Tinkercad. But I want to connect to my classroom. So one, if you're a Google Classroom user, you're able to create a group and you can actually import a class from Google Classroom. Please make sure that if you have any students that are in your Google Classroom, that needs to be in there. But this import Google Classroom classes is really nice, and that's where mine come from. So I want to show you a few things. So one of them is going to be my physics class. So one of the things that we do in physics is we talk about bridges. So students are able to create bridges and then we can test their structural use. We used to go to the Engineering Expo. This year they did not hold it, but they can print their 3D bridges. So these are examples of their bridges that they've broken into pieces so that we could print them. Another thing that we did this year for physics, because it's really nice because you can create a lot of stuff in physics, was not only bridges, they had to create little tops or toys, as we called them, and they had to test circular motion. So they can test the acceleration rate of these objects. So they actually had to create them for that. And so then they were able to also create containers. As you can see here, these are their containers that they made and attached to catapults so that they could throw eggs across the parking lot at school because Engineering Expo was canceled. However, my advanced biology class has done something completely different with this. My advanced biology class did a speciation project, and you can actually see their 3D model. I'm going to push print so that you can actually see where this is going. I won't actually print this model, but you can have a better view of what it actually looks like. So I can scale this down. You can actually see her woolly mammoth that she created. She imported this woolly mammoth from a free website online and then was able to manipulate it. One thing that you're able to do once you're into your 3D printing is you can actually change the axis. So you can move it around on the table. You can go up and down. You could flip her around wherever you want to put it so that it actually fits on the table. We're not going to actually print the woolly mammoth, but it is kind of nice that you can see that. So why did they do this? So they did a speciation project and they actually needed to have a example of their woolly mammoth or their species, ancestor, and current. And so they did that and then they were able to show it with everybody in class. And so they actually had those for that. Another thing that we've done is in my biology classes, we made water filtration systems. And so they actually had to make water filters and do that. This is the class that I'm most excited about for women in science because my boys did not go. They went to 5th grade and they taught them how to make elements. So the 5th graders had element boxes in which they had made already, and then they had to create something to represent that element within a 3D model. This was just a simple thing that we've done with that class, but it was something that was really kind of nice because they did it in a very short period of time. My chemistry students did something much different. My chemistry students this year, you can see some of these, they had to make up their own element. So they created their own element, then they had to design it in a 3D aspect, and then they had to relate that to a narrative. And so we actually have these printed in my room, and we're going to show them at our science open house, but that's going to be online now instead of anywhere else. These are really good aspects and easy to create. 3D printing, right now, if you do have a 3D printer and are through the Polar Cloud, they actually have the template set up so that you can make the mass as well. One thing that's really nice is that you're able to go through and look at news from this, and so they actually give you designs and information on here. There's already activities under the Polar Cloud that are set up. So you can have your kids start creating and doing products and projects virtually. You don't have to print everything. I would show you, I guess I can show you, my printer is offline right now because we're not in school right now and everything's been shut off within my classroom. But you can actually see your objects print. So you don't have to be in your classroom to start a print. You just have to be there to remove it. It gives you an actual feel for this. It also allows for students to take these conceptual models and turn them into physical models that they can actually calculate mathematics and get data out of. So that's really important in a science classroom, and it really takes it from being just a one-time thing to being something that's really useful and helpful. In addition to this, I have a Google Classroom started up. And I do have some information on here, tutorials or short videos on how to use Tinkercad on the Polar Cloud. And so along with my other Google Classroom tools. So if you would like to go on there and use this website, you can. It does have a lot of other information, but it does talk about Tinkercad and the Polar Cloud. Thank you for joining my session.